Hello, happy Friday. Oh, yeah, this is the last Friday of May. No. Oh, hey, Adina, say it again.
Happy Children's Day or Happy Child Day or something like that. You don't have in US for 1st June?
Nice. No, I don't know that we have that. But
Yeah, I mean in Romania it is, and also here in Austria it is. So on Monday we are free because it's the day of the kid, of the child. So since you never get old or not, or
oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
so since you are a child, you can also celebrate.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, when you first said it, like the day of the kid, that sounds like in well, depending upon how you're using the term in English, kid can also mean like a baby goat. And so it kind of sounds like a Chinese holiday, like the day of the kid. Like the day
Oh
of the
my
goat.
God, no. Uh, I did a motamo word by word translation, so I don't know the name.
Oh,
It's
no,
like
no,
you have Woman Day, yeah, Man Day. Then
totally.
you also have or Mother Day, yeah. You also have Kids Day. I don't know, Children Day.
Yeah, no, something that's going on right now for us is, um, well, I have three little ones, and one of my eldest, he's
Since
grad.
when you have three? I thought you have two.
Yeah, well, we've been busy. No, I'm just no. Um, I might have just gotten it all confused, but no, yeah. So two boys and a girl, and the boy or one of the boys, they're the older ones. He's graduating from 5th grade to 6th grade, so from like elementary to middle school. And
Uh-huh.
since they've been doing all the learning from home, the remote learning,
The graduation is also remote.
yeah, yeah. Apparently, right now in his bedroom, he's graduating. Yeah. So, uh, what's fortunate about the conflict of the timing of the community call with that is that um, my wife is not holding me accountable for being at his graduation. So, because she thinks it's kind of funny. So good. Okay. Meeting minutes. All right. So we're 5 after. That means that generally it's time to get going. Link to the meeting minutes. Just, I think I know all of you have been on these calls before, but for formality, we record these calls and post them on YouTube. So with that, let's dive into some topics. I'm just checking really quick. So Saim is with us. Prosper, Nitish, Naveen, Adina. Good. So there are some announcements. It's a good time though, before we go through those, to gather up our topics. Considering the folks that are on at the moment, I'm going to toss down Mesh CTL as a potential topic. I'm going to toss on SMI because Naveen, I was just talking with Kanishkar. I'm going to maybe toss on Wasm as a potential thing. And then there's some CI things as well. Maybe we'll get those first. So good. Get your credit points for attending by writing your name into the attendees list. All right, a few announcements. It's been a hell of a week actually, which has been great. I am pleased that we had the type of week that we did with the announcements and happenings and culminations, the accolades that have been had. That really pleases me that all of you are rejoicing in them, that you're all taking pride in your work being exposed and your efforts being drooled over in some cases. So the announcements are that we've been, there's a bunch of reasons why Cody from HashiCorp presented last week. And that's in part because we've been doing a lot with Console and a lot with the HashiCorp team. Blake, who's been a regular on this call, who's actually contributed to a couple of the Layer5 repos, is of HashiCorp. We've been exchanging some code with Nick Jackson. It's been pretty great. We've got a couple of things that we'd like to get underway. Probably a webinar with HashiCorp, probably a posting up on their site. And we'll see if we can't get a regular YouTube going on, a regular set of discussions around service meshes. If you have not seen the announcement, here, I'll put a link. We don't need to spend more time, but just, I'm very excited about that. Another thing I'm really excited about, and is very much so a direct result of all of you on the call, and specifically a few of you like Kush, who just joined. I don't know if you can hear me yet to harass him there. Okay. Like Kush, who just joined, are very much so have directly influenced Meshri's landing onto the CNCF landscape. As a matter of fact, Asuko in the community had PR'd a request to put Meshri into there, and it's because of, well, and Naveen in specific, there's like 4 of you in specific that landed, I don't know how many stars on the Meshri repo, which has been fantastic. We crossed the line, and now Meshri is in the CNCF landscape. So the easy way of getting there is just l.cncf.io, and the specific category, as you might have guessed, is the service mesh category. And just look how beautiful this category looks now. I was a bit concerned before, but it's really come along nicely in the last day or two. One thing that's curious to me is, like, I think this is a tracking of the stars that were done per, no, what is this? This is not stars. This is lines of code, maybe? Because that's a lot. Is that on a weekly basis? Yeah, I don't know. I guess we didn't do anything. Oh,
there could be number of commits.
Oh, okay. KubeCon was going on that week-ish. Check out our HashiCorp friends. So Cody, there's something about people who like bad dad jokes that seems to attract people to this call. So anyway, it's I'm really pumped for all of you. It's pretty neat. Kanishkar nailed it at DockerCon. I didn't go back to look to see how many folks, and actually Adina and Saim and Kush, you guys were there. Did you see any statistics or numbers about the number of viewers or the number of people?
The viewers were around 550 to 600, and they were varying between the number.
Awesome. Yep. Somebody's got to go make Kanishkar embarrassed about that, because that's awesome. And we've had a number of new community members joining based on having liked what they saw. I really appreciate, by the way, Simon and Adina and Kush, all of you guys staying up really late to be there and participating in it and representing. That was nice. It's also, hope it feels really good to you see people intrigued and asking questions. And I haven't scoured Twitter just yet, but I've seen some flattering comments made toward Meshri. All right, the next one up was that I think both Nuno, who's here in the community, and myself is actually, if you mind, yeah, thanks. We're going to go ahead and chat or give some, I guess, a talk or two at the cloud. There's an upcoming virtual conference, Cloud Native eParty. I haven't looked. I think so. Nuno must have a talk on Cloud Native user tail in WSL2 lands. Am I under service mesh Kraken? That's funny. So I think he intends to show off Meshery here. That's fantastic. And then Mears, I've been asked to come and chat about SMI. To join the SMI project. Yeah. So we'll talk with the new stack about that. We'll talk about Meshery. The new stack was just asking some questions about it. So that's great. Again, any of you that are interested in doing what Kanishkar did, which by the way was a crap load of work, just let me know. Or doing this here, just let me know. There's a long list of these opportunities. So, Tim, Hossein, Matthias, and a number of others had joined recently. So to help folks get introduced a little bit, I would say that Matthias is into Rust. He'd written a WASM program with the web browser as the host environment. And the particular one that he wrote was of interest to a use case that I think that we're interested in. His project is called Tiny Search, and it is a small WASM program that runs in the browser that's written in Rust, that will more or less do what I think like a Lunar JS would do, which is you index your static site and then provide search capability, which is quite well aligned with a use case that I've been long describing. And so he just joined the community. Hopefully we'll engage there. Okay, great. There's other folks that have joined. We'll get them listed down. Any comments on the announcements before we head into topics? Happy Kids Day, I guess. That's the Happy Children's Day. By the way, okay, I've got one other thing, and it has to do with Mr. Sharma. Also, by the way, I don't think I got everyone's name down, but so Vineet has decided to pick up the gauntlet. And if he's successful, that means that I'm going to be out a book. I'm going to have to put this in the mail for him. Vineet, you want to tell people about the challenge? And then, and Vineet, you may or may not be able to speak, but if not, just signal. Okay, we'll come back to it. I'll leave you guys hanging on that. All right, hey, some topics to go over. There's some CI changes that have gone through. So I'll bring up two of them. One is probably a little bit easier than the next, and that is that the new, oh, got it, Vineet, okay. We'll just interrupt when your network issue is resolved. Each of you have hopefully become a little bit familiar with ImageHub, just a simple sample app that's written in Rust mostly, except for all of the JavaScript that's covering up the Rust. Here, and this was the demo app that was used at DockerCon. it feels kind of weird to say like at DockerCon when it was a virtual thing, but this relates to CI because there are three container images used in this app and in the running of this app. Two of which need to be built, one based on Vue and the other one based on Rust. We've yet to get down the CI for this, the very simple workflow that would just kind of build and push those images. And so Lidor was working on this a little bit earlier. Has anybody had a chance to look at this? This workflow? So it could be that we've got a malformed Docker file, although I think the manual builds of that image, well, I mean, clearly it works because the image hub works. But Simon and Adina, I just very recently tagged the two of you as potentially reviewing this very short workflow. This is the workflow for the repo. This is the whole thing.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, really, I have looking. I have looking into that, but I couldn't merge that because I have a network issue, and laptop is not incorporating. So I can do it in this Saturday or Sunday. That's I have checked that, and I probably done it on Saturday, Sunday. I try to update that.
Oh, thank you. Nice. Yeah. I appreciate network issues. I think I even made a comment about how it's never the network in the DockerCon talk. But yeah, thanks for that. And the urgency around it has diminished a little bit since we're kind of, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. Like, I felt it was quite urgent before the talk and we want to have it ready so that in case people want to try it out. I guess the reality is, like, if people are going to be trying it out, it might be now. So I think that it isn't super urgent in so much as if people go to deploy the app, or they can deploy the app using the console adapter, and the console adapter will pull the current images that are loaded into Docker Hub now. So even though the CI is broken, they can still play around with the app. So. All right, next topic, Mesh3CTL. We've had some enhancements. We've had a little mutiny. We've had, we've got an upcoming release. Do we
How many days left?
Yeah, Kush, do you want to weigh in on that? On the release.
So I think there is a PR opened by Nitish. So once we have finalized the error reporting and logging in Mesh3CTL, we can have a 0.4 release.
Kush, do you want to? Would you mind walking people through that change? Maybe we can do a kind of a.
The one that's pending or the config change?
You know, I guess honestly, like both of them would be kind of nice to get some airtime.
Yeah, the first change that's already been merged is we've created a Mesh3 Cuttle config file similar to how we have the Mesh3 config. So there were a bunch of hard-coded variables in there that pointed to localhost as our mesh tree server, but that's not always going to be the case. So the way this works is the config file is optional, and it's going to be called meshrecutl.yaml. Um, so if you do include a config file, it's going to override all the variables and use that to set up the base URL for the mesh server and um, basically all the perf-based or authentication-based endpoints. And if you do not create a config file, it's going to use some hard-coded defaults, which are similar to what we have right now that were checked in. So that's the first thing, and the second one is just code improvement, where we've added more robustness and better error reporting. Sorry, my dog's eating the facial tissue. Sorry. Yeah, so the second one is mostly around error reporting. It leverages Cobra's error reporting functions, and we've tried to make it as descriptive and UX friendly for users. In terms of if they enter the incorrect command, it tells you that you've entered the incorrect command. If the flag isn't found, the required flag isn't found, it'll flag that error and print it for you. If you tried passing a subcommand to a parent command, which does not take any subcommands and doesn't have any subcommands, it's gonna flag it and say that it doesn't accept subcommands. There's only that's the final leave command that you can invoke. So it's a bunch of Cobra features that we're leveraging there. There's this args field that you can set to Cobra no args, which means it's not going to take any subcommands. There's Cobra minimum args, which we set for root and system level commands, where you need to pass at least one arg to actually run some action. Yeah, I think that's about it. That covers it, and I shall update the documentation as well with the config format and the extra command line args. And also, actually, this one probably doesn't need any updates to the doc. What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, no, that's a great, and then, see, that's the kind of feature that you like to make, is one that makes the product or the project or the software more intuitive. Nope, actually, if there are, I guess my perspective is that it would seem like if there are updates to documentation, it might be updates inside of the mesh CLI design spec, such that what you're beginning to espouse is the best practices of how it is that the CLI, mesh CTL behaves. And
Yep.
so, but yeah, on the user's side, yeah, probably not, because it's just hopefully makes it a more smooth user experience.
Yeah.
You know, looking over this, I'm beginning to get a sense of, and kind of an answer to my question. But we don't need to talk about we don't need to talk about this anymore. So I think I've tucked my tail between my legs already. So. Good. Good. It wasn't immediately obvious to me if my sarcasm had come through in the right way. Good. But then, you know, actually, Nitish, let me ask you this. Can you demo this, the mesh CTL config file?
Let's see. Let me try.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit while you try to get that ready. One is I'll just slight. I think it was probably unintended, but Nitish might have misspoken there earlier. He had said that like the name of this new meshrectl config file is meshrectl.yaml, but I thought I heard him say it was meshrecuddle.yaml, but
Yeah, I mean, Cuddle CTL, isn't it the same thing?
no, it's not.
Let's see. So let me share my screen. Oh, jeez.
Wrong browser.
Yeah, I need to enable sharing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you got some secure. Hey, Pavan, we didn't get to say hi earlier.
Hey everyone.
Hey, there he is. Pavan, I can tell it's you by the voice, just not by the last name.
Okay.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure if it was a different Pavan.
I'm gonna have to either drop off and enable it, or if you want to pass, I can do it the next time.
Oh, okay. You know what? Actually, if you don't mind, maybe drop and come back. It'd be nice to have.
Okay. Yeah. Do that.
Nice. Vineet, are you still having a network issue?
Yeah. So from the past few days, I have been contributing in Mishri, and the challenge is to continue this contribution. And Lee has said, like, with the given number of issues, will I be able to means file the PRs in within 24 hours? So yeah, let's see. Hopefully, I have been able to contribute in Mishri because of Lee's support and Kush guidance, and I'm thankful to both of them. Thanks.
Yeah, Vineet, that's awesome. Vineet is the latest individual, the latest contributor to go up on the Meshri.io site. As part of that, I was telling him I'm having a hard time keeping up with the number of PRs that he's pushing through, which is fantastic. And I said that if I'll make him a bet that if I can't respond to one of his PRs within 24 hours, we'll have a book in the mail to him. So I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to lose. But
Honestly, not sure what I'm presenting, but let's see. So metrical config is the new command. Rather, a new flag that you can pass, and the format for Meshri. I'm gonna call it Meshri Cuddle. So
yeah, no, I'm totally razzing.
it just flows naturally. So yeah, this is the format of the file, and we're probably going to extend it to more things as we add new features and move away from hard-coded variables, and just grow it to the right thing. So in this case, there's a base Meshri URL that'll point to your Meshri's API endpoint, Meshri server's API endpoint, and then we can have sections for every command that we have in here where you can override the defaults. So you could have perf, you could have mesh commands, you could have system commands, and their variables could be set up over here. So I don't know if there's much to show here.
And this unto its own, I think, maybe helps give people context. Like that first example is a good one in so much as the more serious the Meshery user is, the more likely it is that they'll be running Meshery on Kubernetes as versus on Docker desktop or in Docker itself. I guess I should say it's not about the technology as much as the more serious the user, the higher the propensity is that they will have deployed it in a central location as a multi-user application that's helping manage their infrastructure, which means that as they go to interface with Meshery using the CLI, that if baked into the CLI is a hard-coded reference to localhost as the location of where Meshery server is running, that's bad. So the fact that people can override, or the fact that those are no longer constants and no longer necessarily hard-coded, that's part of what's being addressed here. Now, is that I assume the behavior right now is that as someone were to specify that new flag, they would need to specify that new flag with each and every execution?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we could have a. No, I guess that's required, right? Unless there's.
The flag is good, and this is an improvement. In the future, it may be the notion that, in the future, before we probably improve, we should probably talk about contexts, and because I think that's probably one of the bigger use cases for configuring Meshery CTL is the ability to switch between contexts.
Right.
And that can be accomplished a couple of different ways, but that ultimately it would be a persistent config.
Okay, yeah, we can discuss that. The other feature is just reporting errors if you either enter an unsupported command, and it also points you to the right docs for usage details if you just want to go and read up on it, how to use every arg and command in there. So it'll do that specific to which command you're running. So in this case, it's going to say that I didn't pass a test URL. It'll point me to performance management. For, let's say, oh, I need to fix this. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's the basic idea. The error reporting is better. We kind of remove the hard-coded help message because Cobra does that for you based on the registered commands and their descriptions. So it just makes it hard to maintain if you code, and it could lead to some disconnect at some point.
Speaking of
this essentially. Go ahead.
Actually, I think you got disconnected for that last sentence you were saying. You're saying it was hard to
yeah, I mean, we had this help command variable checked into our code, and I think it'll be hard to maintain that in the future to match whatever Cobra should print. So I think it's a better option to use Cobra's own help text. So I got rid of that. I mean, it's not significant. It's not that relevant to this demo either, but just some code cleanup.
Other comments for Nitish? In the spirit And by the way, just maybe I'll pause a little bit longer. Anybody have any other comments? Now, Nitish, right now the default direct, well, I guess as someone downloads and installs Mesh3CTL, you will not have, or rather, will there now be a new Mesh3CTL-config, or no, I guess it's Mesh3CTL.yaml.
Yeah, I thought about that, but based on the issue that was open, it wasn't obvious that we were to generate the default file, so instead made it optional and use some hard-coded defaults. But I think it's a better option to set the defaults in a generated file, and then you can override that. But yeah, that could be a separate ticket. And I wasn't sure about doing that or not.
I'm with. Does anyone else have comment on that? For my part, I agree with what you said. People aren't going to know the format for what a patch should be.
Right.
We want to externalize that hard coding so that we can refer to it as soft coding or whatever.
And put some comments in there on what each field means. So.
All right. In the spirit of presenting challenges, Nitish, I'll present one to you. You're most welcome to reject. There is, so not only, so between these two PRs, some functional improvements, also very greatly some user experience improvements. Part of what I suspect might have prompted some work in this area was probably a few different things, but one of them was the notion that the debug and of Mesh3 server, maybe the debug of Mesh3CTL, an improvement. So you're improving here, and that therein lies the challenge that I'll present to you. And that is the notion that we're now putting out context-specific URLs, references to where to look up for further information in the docs about that specific command and how to use it. The same can be done. It would just take a small framework. The same can be done for errors. There are errors that happen between and it doesn't have to do necessarily with Mesh3CTL as much as with Mesh3 itself. There are any number of errors that people will see in the Mesh3 logs. And some of them are descriptive, some of them are not. None of them, however, come with an error code because the project itself doesn't have a set of error codes. So the challenge here is to consider going out and laying out basically a set of a classification and categorization of error codes that are project specific. Error code, 1005 is when Mesh3 cannot talk to one of its actors, and basically each of the logs that basically every time that we log an error message, it essentially should have, from my perspective, have a project specific error code that makes for key reference in the project docs. It says if you're getting this error, this is the probable cause. These are possible remediations, and then people begin to have a lot better experience with.
I think that's a great idea, and like you said, building out a error package specific to Mesh3 or Mesh3CTL. I think that makes sense rather than printing out the panic level debug or some logs that only make sense to developers. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I don't mean to pile it on, but just as we think toward that,
Mm-hmm.
toward that sort of functionality, one of the next steps there would be to facilitate assisting people with the project when they're reporting an issue or having trouble, and that would be by way of generating a log. Having a log generator, if you will, like if there are logs from multiple places or a particular set of information that we would always like to have associated to an issue, an error that someone is reporting, the ability for them to do a mesh3CTL logs generate or whatever, and submit that with their issue, is not a high priority, but it's would be helpful.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Talk about it.
Other comments for Nitish? I think, to be frank, I guess, I think there's a few of you who've given quite enough comments to Nitish on his code. So okay. I think you know what I mean. All right, very good. Where were we? We're back. So we're back down to maybe some topics on SMI or WASM. Who else has other topics? That'd be more interesting things than. I know that if I don't speak long enough, that means that one of you will have a topic. So Nitish, just to clarify, and I think if there are any naysayers, please speak now. But I think what we're identifying is that it would be ideal if there's a generated mesh3CTL.yaml to be included.
Yep, I'm creating the ticket now.
Mr. Jain, if there anything that you want to chat about your current thinking and approach on SMI conformance tooling?
Yeah, so I was looking through SMI metrics and I am not able to install SMI metrics on my system. I opened an issue and the maintainer of the SMI metrics said that he was not able to work on that issue for that time. And like he said, he could guide me if I through that. I will have to learn a few things first related to config maps and RBAC. So currently I'm learning that, and then I'll solve the issue on SMI metrics, the repo, how to convert SMI metrics from how to basically install adapter for Istio and Linkerd for SMI metrics. So the actual adapter, I guess, don't support SMI metrics. It supports traffic split, traffic access control, it does not support SMI metrics yet. There is a separate repo for that. So I'll start with that after learning a few things. I guess in the next community meeting, I'll have something to show too.
And was it Tarun that responded about SMI metrics?
Sorry?
Did you recall if it was Tarun that responded about SMI metrics?
I don't remember who it was.
I hesitate to slaughter his last name, but it's Pathula.
Yeah, he was Tarun.
Okay, very good. He's presented on our call a few times, so he's in the Slack
Cool.
here. If that helps. As a matter of fact, he's in the SMI channel, I think, in our Slack.
Oh, I'll contact him or in the Slack then. Thanks.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Kush, I guess, since we're talking about these projects, any updates that you want to go over on the distributed performance testing?
So we still haven't heard anything from Yakub about what are their plans for enabling the distributed performance testing on the Nighthawk. I was seeing the REST API server made by Nitish, the Vegeta REST API server. It seems nice. So we can even consider it to integrate Vegeta if we plan to go with Vegeta instead of Knock.
Or my opinion is that it would be an and. The notion that we're until proven wrong that we're going with Nighthawk, but that doesn't mean that Nighthawk would need to be the only one. So Kush or Nitish, do you want to describe briefly some of the prior art that you had for Vegeta?
So this is an existing tool, right? So they had a CLI version, but there are a lot of use cases, maybe for distributed attacking, where you don't want to just execute something off of the command line on different containers or pods. So rather exposing the REST API for the same commands would be a lot more easier to integrate with. But with that said, there were plans to make a real cloud native distributed attack server as well. I haven't gotten around to it, and they've been talking in the Vegeta community, but it's pretty doable. You need an operator for it. It's not a very hard project. It would just spawn jobs on different nodes. You could use anti-affinity to make sure that they're distributed on different nodes, and they could all kick off an attack at the same endpoint.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you been in contact with those maintainers?
Yes, and not really welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to basically take credit for it and asked me to push it to his repo, and I said no. I mean, it didn't belong to the Vegeta repo. It was a separate server, and I expected him to make it part of his organization, but he wasn't really great about it, so kind of dropped the idea, and I haven't been in touch with him.
I think Veggie maintained by organization. It's maintained by a single user.
There was a single user. Get his name.
Senyat, I think it's the name.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an art.
Well, that's weird because I had a very similar experience. Okay. Well, that is intriguing. Actually, it's intriguing about that functionality, about the potential, operator. And it's also very helpful as Kush kind of works through the load generator interface. That's in, and so accounting for Vegeta capabilities in that interface would be helpful. Just having a Kush. Do we? I thought we like today we have like a half semblance of that load generator interface. Is that right? How would you characterize it? And Kush, if you can, I don't know, have you looked at the load generator interface much?
I think it dropped off.
He's been having power outages. Hey,
So I just got dropped off of the call.
have you looked at have you looked at the load generator interface much? My understanding was that we were about halfway through that in the past.
Okay, so the issue which we were facing in the past, we are again facing the same issue. The model is not getting converted into JavaScript object. The .2js function is not working. So I'll look into it again today. Also, there was some error in the lot test preference handler. So I just pushed some fixes to it. So the post request is working, but the data is not persisting.
Got it. Okay. Yep. And actually, I think you're speaking to a slightly different enhancement, and that's fine. For context for everyone else, of the enhancement that Kush is talking about, it is the notion that not only will individual users be able to set preferences as to not only will individual users be able to set their preferences as to what the default load generator is or what the default length of the duration of a performance test will be, but eventually people will be able to save, create and save performance test configurations. And so of the feature that Kush is working on, you can get a sense of what that is through the screenshots here, or not screenshot, the mock-ups here. And that's the notion that there would be a fourth tab inside of the control panel specific to performance settings, and then allowing people to set defaults. Essentially, this settings area, by the way, is essentially in a multi-user Meshery server deployment, these are global defaults, or eventually will be treated as global defaults, while there will be per user preferences that may override the global defaults. So there's further conversation to be had there. But okay, fair enough. Good. Who else? Do we have anything else to go over today? other than just sit on this announcement for a while and just let it soak in?
That's a very nice announcement.
Guys, I don't know. I didn't say it earlier. I know we talked about it when Blake wasn't on earlier, but I don't want to embarrass Blake, but I do want to highlight the fact that Blake is the individual that really made this happen, that really brought it together this last week to kind of formalize that and have a nice announcement. So thank you for that, Blake. It's really, really good.
Thank you, Liam. I helped a little bit. I think you and the rest of the Layer 5 team did a lot more work, but happy to see this announcement go out. And obviously we've been working closely with you guys over, at least I've been involved with you over the past recent months. I think what we've done in the short time, it's been, I'm excited for the future of our partnership.
And we find this is a good forcing function to finally get a bit of the Mesh console. I'm sorry, not Mesh console. The Mesh adapter for console documentation updated. So,
yeah, I saw that. I actually was maybe looking to do that over the weekend. I know I submitted a PR to get some things updated. I was looking to do console, but you beat me to it.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to take any thunder or any steam away, because it's still missing a couple of sections. It's still, but it was better than an empty page. So yeah, please don't let me hold you back.
Yeah, I'll definitely jump in. This is better than it was, but happy to help and complete it a little more.
Very good. We will end on time today. I appreciate everyone coming. Vineet, I think maybe I'll just sign the book now and kind of resign to the fact that I'm going to lose that challenge. But good. Okay. Thank you all. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.